Welcome to a new edition of the Essex County Ghost Project show. I'm your host, Tom Spitaleri. And through the last, I don't even know how many years I've been doing this, since April of 2007, we've had many co-hosts on, many guests on, and many other things. The show is back. I took a little hiatus. It's been quite the year for Essex County. We ended up the end of last year running close to 40 events, 40 plus events from August till October, actually November, the first week of November. So we were quite busy, but I am back. We are back here at HC Media, so I want to thank Matt and the rest of the staff at HC Media. They've always done a great job, but we are back. We'll be back on with new shows, fresh faces, and a lot of great things coming up this year. Today, it's June. Everybody likes to go swimming. Everybody likes to make it to the lakes. Well, you better know what's in those lakes. We're going to go through some of the lake monsters and maybe get into some of the sea monsters. I'm not sure if we're going to make it through this because there's a lot of lakes to cover here. We're going to start right up the road here. Well, first of all, here in Haverhill at Winnikinny Castle and obviously the Merrimack River, there's been no purported lake or river monsters seen of what we're going to be discussing. Sort of like Champ and Winnie and Glennie and the rest of them. The first one we're going to discuss is Glennie, out of Goffstown, New Hampshire. Not too far from here. Glen Lake and the Greg Falls Dam of Goffstown, New Hampshire, and the lake monster is Glennie. Legend of a large serpent swimming in the Piscataqui River dates back to Native American tribes. The Abenakis referred to this creature as Gatskog, pronounced G-ta-skog, a moving great serpent or big serpent. In 1918, when the mills were being built, the Manchester Light Company built the dam over there, Light and Power Company, and Glennie was trapped in the lake. So this thing was seen up and down the river, probably going out to the ocean eventually, somehow or another, but seen. But when they built the dam, it trapped them in the lake. He is described as 10 to 12 feet creature, thick, has been 4 flippers, a long neck, a snout that looks like a dog, and a row of sharp teeth with eyes colored of peeled onions. When they're swimming, he appears to flap its flipper up and down like wings, can also twist them in a corkscrew motion. Some believe this is common Abenaki folklore like Champ, Membra, and Winnie. Now, I've never seen this one. I've never seen any of these lake monsters, but this is real interesting. Some of the lake monsters we're going to see do have Native American roots to them. Dublin Lake in Cheshire County, New Hampshire. It's 1,480 feet above sea level. It's part of the Connecticut and Long Island watershed. So the Connecticut River Valley and the Long Island watershed of New York. Tributary of the Manawa Brook, 236 acres. It's 64 to 100 feet deep, locked off at 101. Manawa is a tribute of the Ashawonet River. In the late 1980s, a free diver went missing in Dublin Lake. A few days later, he is found naked, incoherent, babbling about a lake or sea monster. He was on land when a hiker found him and described the underwater caves that have been not fully explored. I guess this guy went into some underwater caves in the lake, and no vertification. No one else has seen this Dublin Lake creature. but it draws the attention of underwater caves. Be careful if you find any, and make sure you have scuba gear certified when you go under. Lake Winnipesaukee, or Winnie is the creature, dates back to the late 18, early 1900s. The lake monster has been seen around the lake for years. It's a snake-like creature, 40 to 50 feet. It's been sighted by locals toward the different parts of the lake have seen this, and it looks like Lake Champ, the Champlain sea creature, similar to that. 100 feet deep at its deepest, and 20 to 50 feet at its points. So Lake Winnipesaukee is deep enough to hold some type of lake monster. So if you're boating or swimming around the lake, please be careful. Now, the next sea creature. So you're starting to see that these things all kind of look alike, which makes it even more interesting to a degree. Lake Ossipee, a volcanic lake in the middle of the Ossipee Triangle, which starts in Salem, goes to Jefferson, back to Rochester, back to Salem, New Hampshire. Very interesting area. It's a volcanic lake with strange history of UFO, paranormal, and cryptids, including a lake monster, Bigfoot. The natives have talked about a snake-like creature with webbed feet that could move from the big lake to Little Lake Winnipesaukee. And it's about 50 feet with a snake-like head, and the rest looks like Champ. It was first spotted in the 1800s and all the way through the early and mid-1900s, where there were hotels that Otis talking about on the river, talking about come see the lake, the Ossipee, Lake Ossipee, lake monster. What's interesting about Lake Ossipee is I've done a lot of work in the Lake Ossipee area. Essex County has done a lot of work out there researching the Bigfoot, the lake monsters. Inside the big lake of Lake Ossipee, there are underwater caves where you have cave drawings of things flying out of the water, snake-like creatures. So that goes back to, again, the Abenaki folklore, Abenaki beliefs, and what they have seen. These creatures are interesting because as we move closer to the coast, if we make it to this show, if not the next show, we'll start it with, be part 2, and at the end we'll get to that, would be sea monsters. Here's another monster called the Pocamoonshine Lake Monster in Washington, Maine. Dates back to Algonquin natives, first seen by a sawmill owner in 1882. Long ago. The Algonquin natives seen the lake monster for centuries. Legend has it the creature was born out of disagreement between the Algonquin shaman and the chief of the Micmac. The Micmac chief turned into an enormous serpent, and since then the serpent-like creature, nearly 60 feet long, is seen by swimmers around the lake. The serpent is a special serpent. The lake monster has been reported to be able to leave the lake and dry its body off overland and move to nearby lakes. In 1882, a local sawmill owner saw this monster, which was 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Imagine you walking out in the woods and seeing that. That's quite scary. Again, another one of those lake monsters. Again, they're all serpent-like, they're all snake-like, which is even more interesting. You know, and I'll either get to this by the end of this show or the next show we do, because I'll probably finish this up. Champ, the American Loch Ness. Located outside of Vermont and Fort Henry in New York. Oh, okay, that's interesting. First sighted in 1819, along size between Champ, and then in 1609 in June it was seen again. English, it goes back to 1609 in Native American law. In 1819, the English, size 15 to 50 feet. Champlain, the lake itself is 435 square miles, 400 feet deep, 7 trillion gallons of water, 587 miles of shoreline, 70 plus islands, and it covers 2 states and part of Canada. So it's a big area. So there's plenty of room for this creature to live. One eyewitness said a sea captain, Normal Crum, caught sight of this sea monster in Beluga Bay, New York. Then again, in the that's the Plattsburgh. That was noted in the Plattsburgh Republican newspaper. Quick saying 187 feet long, with 3 teeth, 2 under the jaw and 1 above the jaw, in the upper jaw. Black in color with a star on its forehead and a belt of red around its neck. The strange eye-colored, the eye-colored of a peeled onion. Railroad workers on the shores of Dresden, New York, saw this massive fish-like toiled serpent swimming towards the University of Burlington students' kayaking team, and it created quite the stir. The water was a good 15 feet ahead of its neck, while visible. Most of the encounters and are the same. P.T. Barnum offered $50,000 reward for its hide and of the great Champlain serpent. They never got him. Over the years, some people say its style, humped sea serpent, in an oceanic dinosaur, extinct reptile, probably a plesiosaurus, with a long neck, bubbleless body, flippers like a plesiosaurus. It may sound off, but underneath Champlain are underwater caves that go out to the Atlantic Ocean, and they've actually seen a beluga whale in Fort Charlotte washed up ashore in Vermont, including the Fort Charlotte whale. It was a beluga whale in 1849. In 1977, this couple was vacationing in Vermont along Brown Neck in the water. They saw Brown Neck water come through with and this guy he took his Kodak Instamatic camera and took a picture. And what we know today is the Park Henry. They have outdone this list and sightings. Since August 1989, there's still sightings today. And there's even more now because they have a Champlain camera. You can actually go online and look through the camera. But that's another time they talked about deep water caves. So it is possible that these lake monsters can make it out to the Atlantic Ocean or beyond. I wouldn't be surprised there's caves right out through the whole continental United States, because I read about other lake monsters out in the Midwest in isolated lakes. So you have to wonder, how are they getting around? And if there's an underwater cave system throughout the United States, then that would be a way of doing it. All right. Now we're going to get into Cassie. This was located, this is a sea serpent, located in Pembascot Bay around 1779. Future Navy hero Edward Preble was on board a ship, the Proctor, and saw a sea serpent on the surface of the water. Braved it 10 feet out of the water before diving back into the water. 1780s. This creature was spotted next year in Brood Bay when sailors observed a serpent about 45 feet long raise its head out of the water. It took long skinny neck. So this thing had a long skinny neck coming out of the water. If you can picture that. And then from Cassie had been seen by many times from 1912 to the 1940s. In 1958, it was seen stalking a fishing vessel, and then it disappeared. Last reported in 2002, a woman who saw something like a Loch Ness near Biddeford Pool, Maine. So it came down a little bit from Pembascot. It's in Biddeford, which is where the airport is for Route 1. August 2nd, 1868. A group of people saw what they thought might have been a fish floundering in the salt marshes west side of East Point, Maine. They looked like a shark and part fish. The specters were scared and rushed over and shot 70 musket balls into the animal until it passed. In October 1869, Harper's Weekly article on the creature was 30 feet long and weighed 11 tons, with an enormous dorsal fin and a shark-like features with a huge leg ending. With webbed feet and sharp, dirty teeth, the carcass was taken to Bangor and never heard from again. So taken to Bangor College and just never heard from again. So again, they killed this one, but we never got to see it, except for the people who were there that day, which makes it even more interesting. Again, now we're from the lakes, we're out to the ocean. And it leads me to believe when you start to see this stuff, there's got to be underwater caves because these creatures are seen all over New England. Kittree, Maine, 1886. A local boat owners advised that a veritable sea serpent was spotted near Wood Island. 2 witnesses, Augusta Bernald and Hiram Toby of Kittree, overthought it was a long sighting of a floating seaweed at the mouth of the Piscataqua River. As they pulled closer to the USO, unidentified swimming object, they realized that it was a living creature and that the seaweed had 4 feet of water, 75 feet long, rapidly moving eastward. In 1901, Portsmouth Herald reported a 5-mile creature, a similar creature to what was reported in 1886 there, was seen off the coast of York Beach. This creature, once seen firmly up and down the coast, virtually by all the hotels. So if people are renting their rooms looking out over the beautiful ocean and they see these things. Portsmouth Herald reported back in 1901 a similar creature off of York Beach. In June 30th, 1909, the Portsmouth paper reported the discovery of a fine specimen of a sea serpent found half buried in the sands of Salisbury Beach. They called the creature petrified and perfectly preserved specimen. Looked like another serpent with the long neck, and it was dead, and some local drugstore picked up the creature and it's been on display for years. I tried to locate that drugstore. We believe it's out on Bridge Road, but it's no longer a drugstore, and we don't know where this creature is now. But I would have loved to have seen a picture of that creature. In 1858, on Appledore Island, Dr. Samuel Bodrich noted ocean light and says twice has been seen a sea serpent, and he swore by it. So another guy who wrote the book on Appledore Island. The brother of the Isle of Shows poet, Cecilia Thatcher, claimed a fast-moving serpent once terrified a group of hotel guests out sailing, but that snake-like creature never returned, which is good. I mean, it's seen. That happens a lot with these creatures. They're seen, then they'll never be seen again, or they'll be seen somewhere else. And that's pretty much where that creature stands. Again, it was seen in 1858. The classic sea serpent, not seen in full view, could be mistaken as a fan or swordfish, 800 pounds. Shore fish, massive floating heads, 15 feet in length, weighed up to 5,000 pounds, and they got the name the Lying in the Sun. In 1860, 7 feet, 1,800-pound fish was happened off the Revere Beach. The natives telegraphed to describe sea serpents on it could be flat dragon catfish, the world's biggest bony fish. It could reach 50 feet. Also, U.S. Submarine Division has never evacuated over one of these. So, it's interesting. People are seeing them, but not a lot of people are seeing them. They're kind of hiding. All right. Next one is the Gloucester sea serpent. First spotted in 1641 by English traveler John Jocelyn, wrote in his journals of an ancient with a sea serpent that passes by, swims off the giant coast of Gloucester. It is told the sea serpent is a sea-like snake, logged or coiled up like a cable upon the rock in Cape Ann. A boat passing with 2 English and 2 Native Americans. The English wanted to shoot and kill it. Well, the Native Americans believed you don't kill animals and don't kill the snake and don't kill the creature. So by the time they got by it, they were out of danger and they didn't shoot at all. The Gloucester sea serpent is seen sketched all over the place, and it's a big attraction for this. They have the sea serpent thing every year. The summer of 1807, hundreds of people, including crews of 4 whaling vessels, sighted a sea serpent in Gloucester Harbor. And they traveled to Gloucester to collect some evidence. One witness said the serpent head looked like a turtle head, but a larger than a dog. So turtle face, larger than a dog. Author of the heel, if raffle snake, longer than bones of its head. So they did see another specimen of that, a baby specimen, in 2017, but they're not 100% sure. It's been about 200 years worth of sea serpents. But we went over lake monsters and sea serpents today. So when you're out there fishing on those lakes of New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts, think about what could be under the lake. If you're out on the New Hampshire coast, anywhere from Gloucester North or Gloucester South, it doesn't matter. Think about, while you're fishing, what you could really be pulling in or what you could really see. It's real interesting. And I said this earlier, and I'll say it again. There are caves that connect the continental shelf of the United States that go out to the Atlantic Ocean. So that's why you don't see these things as much. Because I think they're moving among us, but they're moving in stealth and quiet. And that's why there's been very few sightings, except now that we have cameras, people leaving cameras set up, like with Lake Champlain, this town's leaving cameras set up that you can actually go into a Google system and go keep an eye on the camera all day long, all night long. Sometimes you may not see anything. Sometimes you will. But it's real interesting to see how this has all gone down and how these creatures intertwine and how they hide so well from us. You know, you could say the same thing about Bigfoot, skunk apes, dingwalls, which are cats. These creatures hide well. They do not want to be seen by us for whatever reason. They might be afraid, they may not. We really don't know. And before we get any further into this, I just want to say, in July, we're doing a big event at the Sandown Meeting House. Huge event, roundtable discussion. It's a Friday night, so we hope to see you all there. We're also working on a few other things that will keep growing this show again. And while you're home, just keep an eye on things, because you never know what you're going to see in the spirit world or the paranormal world. But it's all there for the taking. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and hope we have a good rest of June. We'll see you soon, and good night, good day. I'm heading back to my crib. I'll see you in the paranormal.